luck, kiddos. Christmas is back on track, all thanks to the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Come on down and help us keep the magic alive.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this cold Monday, November 27th. It is 1:05 on this afternoon right now, and a quick check on your currents outside. It's 17 degrees. Northwest winds at 15 make it feel closer to 2 degrees outside. Even a few flurries, a couple of quick bursts of snow around the area, but nothing accumulating on the ground. Something I just like to call nuisance snow out there. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm. I'm here with Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, you're traveling. There's bursts of snow. Thanks a lot.
I know. I've already been downgraded from several who've mentioned, hey, you could have waited. We didn't need this. But I'm right now at the North Dakota-South Dakota border. There's a little bit of snow. It's not much. I swear it'll be okay, you guys. There. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. There's a few spots that are worse than others, but even the spots that are bad aren't really that bad out there. There's a few spots where visibility briefly drops down to about a mile, maybe mile and a half for about 30 seconds, depending on how fast you're traveling, and then you pull right on out of the snow flurry and there's nothing to worry about. So that's just kind of the theme. And Bridgette, I'm sure you probably drove into a few of those around the area on your way down there over the past hour, have you not?
I did. And there's a couple of spots where there's some snow sticking to the roadway, but honestly, it's minor conditions. Everyone just keep an active eye out. Don't use your cruise control. You'll have a lot better reaction time if you don't. And frankly, things are going to be fine. It's going to clear up. Right, Justin Storm?
Yes, indeed it will, Bridgette. It is going to turn very nice over the next couple days. We will unfortunately hang on to the breezier conditions for tomorrow. But after that, not too bad until we head into Thursday. The forecast is looking rather dry and pleasant. So, Bridgette, I'm imagining you don't have much traveling planned over the next week or two. But
what did you say about Thursday?
Thursday?
Hold on.
That's funny. That's our next chance for what's going on today.
Oh,
and you're traveling again.
You don't say. Not far.
Not
just
far.
Like around the Fargo area.
No, Thursday's not going to be bad either. Just a few flurries. Again, a little burst of snow will be possible. So here's your forecast over the next 5 to 7 days. We went over currents. We'll be hitting highs right around 20 today. It will be cloudy for the rest of the afternoon. A few breaks from time to time of sunshine with a northwest wind around 10 to 20 miles per hour. For tonight, brief lows near 6 above and then rising into the teens by tomorrow morning. We'll top out in the upper 30s to lower 40s for your Tuesday afternoon. There'll be a flurry possible in the morning. Otherwise, skies just go sunny by the end of the day. It will be a little breezy, though, as west winds will pick up around 10 to 25 miles per hour. A few gusts upwards of 35 west of the valley, so it'll just kind of be a breezy, warm, sunny afternoon tomorrow. Another nice day follows on Wednesday, upper 30s, low 40s, partly cloudy, light winds before it turns a little breezier on Thursday. The clouds roll back in. There'll be a few passing snow showers, mainly north of Fargo. I just can't rule out a few of those flurries stretching into the southern valley, but again, really nothing that's going to be accumulating out there. And for the upcoming weekend, not too bad. Mid-30s to upper 30s, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So all in all, it's a pretty nice forecast out there. I mean, we are at the end of November, and we're still looking at temperatures in the 30s, even a couple days in the low 40s.
I think that's kind of a win. I mean, we're doing all right. I realize a little moisture isn't a bad thing, and we'll still have plenty of time to get that. And in fact, we're going to talk about that more in just a week's time, Justin.
Yeah, yes, we are. December 5th, I think that is next Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. Let me just, before I start setting out lies, next Tuesday is December 5th. We're having our LRC Winter Outlook special from 2 to 5 here on WDAY Radio, the Jay Thomas Show. It's also going to be live streamed on Facebook and YouTube Live, so you can watch it over there, or if you want to go back, if you're not able to attend live, you can re-watch it. It'll also be found on our website, WDAYradionow.com. We're going to be breaking down what the rest of winter is going to be looking like, taking a sneak peek into spring, and we're going to be eyeing up which dates are most likely to have significant weather passing through our area. So you want to make sure you stay tuned and write it down as well. Hold our feet to the fire. We want to have people call us and let us know if the weather pans out how we say it does.
This show, when we do the weather special, is super interactive. We get lots of questions.
Fun.
It takes Justin and Dean about 2 weeks afterwards to answer all the emails that they get sent
Yeah, I
about
forgot
specific
about that.
dates and
Thanks.
locations. So
Let's
no
see.
problem. Maybe you want to start stacking up those questions now, just in case.
Yeah,
They'll be coming right
if
along.
you want to start sending your questions in, you can do that at weather@flagfamily.com. If you have any questions on what the LRC is, how it works, or even just specific dates you want us to take a look at, get them in now. Or otherwise, you can call in during that special on the 5th from 2 to 5 o'clock. We're going to hold off on specific date questions. So if you want to be like, oh, I want to know what the second week of January looks like, we'll save that last hour from 4 to 5 o'clock for that. All the rest of it, we'll be kind of diving and talking about what the LRC is and what the forecast is. And if you have a question about how it works or something like that, then you can call in during that 2 to 4 period. But that kind of ties into the phone lines for the studio today. The Red Wing Shoes phone line, that's 701-293-9000. If you want to join in on this conversation, ask any questions. Emails to the studio are weather or ag@flagfamily.com. Also, live chat boxes over there on Facebook and YouTube Live. You can also catch us over on Acres TV, and that'll kind of bleed into what we got going on today. Bridgette, we have two guests that'll be joining us here in about 7 minutes. You want to introduce who those two gentlemen are and where they're from?
I would be happy to. And so we have with us today guests from Dacotah Bank right here in Fargo. Chad Priewe and Judd Graham are going to join us. This started because Dacotah Bank was one of our sponsors for Here We Grow. And at the end of the whole project, we sat down together, had lunch, and talked about what were the outcomes, et cetera, especially the fact that we were able to give our donation of $1,000 to the Great Plains Food Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And Graham had a great, or Judd, I should say, had a great point when he said, does everybody understand the dollars and cents of what it takes to farm? Let's talk about input costs and so forth. And man, the question right now is a lot of how are interest rates affecting what's happening at the farm level today. So we thought we'd just bring the experts right to that discussion. And so we'll have Chad and Judd joining us here shortly and covering those topics up from one end to the other, basically.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see how many points we were able to bump up Dean's credit score when we bought all the equipment. I got
Exactly.
a feeling it's a good thing for him.
And all right, so let's say that we're beginning farmers, which we kind of are, and we want to do something like this again next year. What would that involve? And what are the conversations that folks are currently having with their loan officers and their bankers about what's going to happen for next year and how they would plan for it? What's the difference between a line of credit as well as just a flat out loan?
Yeah, it's going to be very fun to learn all the differences in that. And a few of our ag topics we'll get to during this segment and our last segment. USDA apple purchases. I hear that the USDA made a pretty sizable purchase of apples, as well as beginning farmers' investments with the USDA and John Deere's military hire program. So, Bridgette, should we start off with one of those?
We can. So let's talk about John Deere. What they have decided to do is they are partnering with the U.S. military, particularly in the realm of their folks that are going to be coming out of service within about 180 days. What they're doing is John Deere is setting up an internship program. So 180 days before separation, those folks who have been serving in the military have the opportunity to start gaining the skills to be technicians in that ag equipment industry and other areas, and really helping them continue to be part of a team like they were when they were in the military. So if you have someone who might be wanting to get into the ag business, perhaps they are returning from a military career or just their recent deployments, etc., participating dealerships are very, very supportive of this program. Again, this happens at the dealership level. You can pick where you want to live, so to speak. So if your hometown or the place where you want to be has a John Deere dealership, this is an awesome setup for you. And examples would be things like Air Force Chief Douglas Berry. He just wanted to continue to being part of a team and thought he could be taking in the internship as a technician. But with 20 years of experience, he became a service writer. Also, we have an E5 ground support mechanic. He wanted to be a service technician as well, but the dealership took him under their wing, got him through his internship, and now he has full-time employment. And when you think about John Deere's employment with dealerships in some small towns, the fact that you can now bring your family and move to a place with good school systems where you choose to go, I think that also helps. So hats off to John Deere for wanting to be a part of a program like this.
That's super cool. And do you by chance happen to know if they're doing any other big things going on around there, whether it's different programs. I thought I had heard that they had some other program that they just started a few weeks ago.
John Deere, as well as Case, and as well as a number of the manufacturers, also do internship programs and hands-on training with a number of our local technical colleges.
That's
so
what it was.
Places like Wahpeton or down at Watertown, etc. What they are doing is making sure that students come in with the skills they need to work on that specific brand of equipment, and then they can go ahead and go working for a dealership upon graduation. So it's a great way for those companies to funnel new employees, and then for the students to be able to graduate with the skills and a planned job out there ahead of them. I mean, graduating from college and having a job, sort of an important situation. Good to have income.
In most cases, it is, yes. It's cool that they're helping out with that to kind of help get people a foot in the door, even that first opportunity, that first leaping stone for some, if you would say.
Well, we always think about veterans during November, and with it being Veterans Day, et cetera. And so that's what ties into the USDA's program that they have launched. They're going to spend just shy of $28 million to help teach and train beginning farmers and ranchers, and there's special emphasis for U.S. veterans as well who want to begin farming, who want to begin their careers in ag. And so this is, you can find it under the National Institute of Food and Agriculture's Beginning Farmer and Rancher program. And it supports quite a number of areas within agriculture, because when you look at U.S. Census data from National Ag Statistics Service, 1/3 of the U.S.'s 3.4 million farmers are over the age of 65. And so it's a great idea to start looking at folks who can fill in those shoes as more retirements begin to happen.
Here's a quick one for you, Bridgette. Since we've been talking about this for a long time, we hear about how transition and giving the farm down to the next generation and so on, or a farm help. And it just kind of seems like there's not as many younger people coming into farming and agriculture as there are older folks that are getting ready to retire. Do you think that we're going to start to see an increase in amount of farms or land that's available for sale because there's just really no one next in line to take that over?
Well, first of all, I think that's an outstanding question for our guests. So write that down, Justin. Let's not forget to ask. But I also see things a little bit differently. The number of farms that we have may not be the same as we see farms getting larger. And so we have newer folks coming in, but they're probably taking over larger operations than maybe when their parents or their families started farming. So there's some differences there. I still see a lot of kids who want to farm. I still see a lot of adults who want to continue to farm. So maybe there's ways we can find a balance for that for both.
Right on. Well, why don't we say we catch up with the American Ag Network, and when we come back, we'll visit with Chad and Judd from Dacotah Bank of Fargo. And if you want to join in on the conversation, ask a question, feel free to do so. Give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000. Again, those for you watching on the stream, it's on the screen. Emails to the program, weather or ag@flagfamily.com. We'll catch up with the American Ag Network, and when we come back, we'll visit with Chad as well as Judd.
Livestock market is mostly lower. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risvet with this market update. Live cattle futures are trading down, with most extending their lowest prices since March after last week's sell-off. Today's report of weighted averages will be interesting to see, as it looked like Southern live trade was down roughly $1 to $2 at $176 to $177, while Northern dress trade was just over $1 lower, mostly near $280. Seeing cash prices hold firmer than the futures is an encouraging sign, and we'll see if negotiated prices showed any better interest from packers last week. Last week's estimated slaughter of 538,000 during Thanksgiving week wasn't unusual for having a day off, and today's cattle slaughter is estimated at 125,000. That's down from 126,000 last week. Now, according to the National Weather Service, parts of central Kansas received 10 to 14 inches of snow over the weekend, but amounts were lighter elsewhere around the Central Plains. The snow is not expected to last long, as warmer temps are expected to return during the week and restore road conditions. The CFTC will release updated information on trader positions this afternoon, likely showing more liquidation among specs and cattle. As of November 4th, non-commercials were net long 42,815 contracts of live cattle. Box beef prices were mixed, choice down 2 cents, while selects were up $3.33 with 32 loads. We'll get a look at the livestock numbers next. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
North Dakota Farmers Union.
Hey, it's happening, folks. North Dakota Farmers Union Annual State Convention, December 15th and 16th at the Bismarck Event Center. Are you curious about the property tax debate, the farm bill, or the farm economy? Learn more at this fun 2-day event that features ag education, prize giveaways, plenty of time to catch up with friends and neighbors, and so much more. To register, download the new NDFU app or go to ndfu.org. That's ndfu.org.
Give your soybeans an obvious advantage with Lalfix Pro Yield Liquid Soybean from Lalwin Plant Care. Its exclusive formulation amplifies nitrogen fixation. That means a greener, higher yielding soybean crop and enhanced ROI. The single bladder means there's no mixing, and the available collapsible cube simplifies shipping. It's the inoculant with a difference you can see. Contact your Lalman sales representative today.
Let's get a look at the livestock numbers. Live cattle December down 102 at 169.22. February down 190 at 169.07. April down 232 at 170.97. And the June live cattle, they're down 235 at 167.15. Feeders, November down 73 at 228.64. January down 615 at 213.17. Lean hogs, December down 17 at 67.40. February down 180 at 67.97. And the April lean hogs, they're down 167 at 73.60. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
Well, good news. I have that barn with me, but not the screaming goat. Didn't bring that along today. Sorry, Justin.
We got to find you one of those on eBay or something to replace the one that you lost.
That was a pig, and I don't need a goat that screams. Thank you. Because
you don't want to hear this every day?
You know, I do hear that every day, but I don't need to hear it at my house. How's that?
Fair point.
All right. Speaking of your house, we are partnering with Legacy Plumbing for a warm heart, warm home. If you have a family in mind that could benefit from a new furnace, now is your chance. Go to WDAY Radio's website, click on the hot links, and now through December 15th, we will ask that you nominate families so that we may be able to help them get a new furnace through Legacy Plumbing. They need to live in Cass or Clay County, but otherwise that family will be announced on Monday, December 18th. So take the time, nominate those people you feel are in need right now. Now, maybe you don't need a new furnace, but maybe you need to talk about some farm loans. We've got the guys to do it. So today from Dacotah Bank, we are joined by Judd Priewe and Judd Graham. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Okay, we need to talk more than that. This is radio. Nobody can see. I'll shake. All right. Dacotah Bank is kind of a new kid on the block in ag lending in the Fargo area, but not necessarily everywhere else. What's a little bit of that history?
Well, you're exactly right. We're Dacotah Bank is headquartered out of Aberdeen, and Fargo was actually our 33rd location between North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. And we are the 13th largest ag bank in the country, so agriculture is a big deal to us. We do a lot of ag lending. I think we're known as the largest ag lender in the Dakotas between North and South Dakota. So it is a big part of what we do.
That's awesome.
When you look at that ag lending, are you primarily focused on the farm level or agribusiness? And within the farm, would it be grain or livestock? How does that balance out for you?
Well, I couldn't tell you the percentages of each, but we do it all. We certainly are in the business of agribusiness as well as production agriculture, whether that be crops or livestock.
Okay. And that kind of goes regionally a little bit to some degree too. We've got a lot of community banks down in South Dakota and in western North Dakota that focus a little bit more on livestock, as those are more geographically located a little bit. And then as you work towards the valley, obviously you get a little bit more into the crops and all those different types of things.
Mm-hmm.
We're perhaps a little more suited for grain farming, you might say. There's not as many cows roaming around over here.
Exactly.
Keep them in the butcher shop.
So as we mentioned earlier in our first segment, we were talking about new farmers and getting started. And Justin posed a great question. So did you remember your question, Justin?
Yeah, no, I think I remembered about most of it. Let's see if we can butcher it now. With a lot of people starting to end their careers in farming and agriculture and transitioning down to the next generation, or maybe you don't have someone, so you end up selling it or giving it to whoever's been that farm help over the last 5, 10, 2 decades or so. And with less and less, what it seems like, at least, because there are younger people getting into agriculture and farming, don't get me wrong. It just kind of seems like that number is more proportional for people leaving than new people coming in, has kind of been what I have been noticing. Do you think that we're going to, down the road, and I don't know if this has even been a trend as of recently over the last few years, but starting to see more acreage or farms for sale than have been in the past because of that? Because there's just no one really to hand it down to or give it to next.
Yeah, I think the number of farms overall is declining and has been for a number of years, I guess. And I think the average size of families is declining as well too. You know, there used to be farm families that had 2 or 3 sons there as a ready workforce to some degree too, and you know, they were there to be able to take over the farm and keep that going forward. And as those numbers have gone down, the numbers of farms have gone down. The economics, along with the economies of scale, have kind of changed too, where a smaller farm is no longer viable for, you know, the life or living needs of one family anymore. And some of that's taken effect too, and then just the change in technology and size of equipment and all that type of stuff, where, you know, in a couple township area on a map, you know, you may have had a couple handfuls of farms and farmers there, and now that's condensed down to 1 or 2, and they're able to cover that amount of ground with the machinery and the technology that's available, and then just the economics of it itself lends more towards the bigger farms, economies of scale, and all that stuff that goes on there. And I think that's definitely a trend that appears to be continuing, maybe not as gradual of a decline. It may be flattening out a little bit, but it's definitely more. There's still more farms as, you know, the farmer gets older, retires, and quits. There isn't always somebody there to pick it up, so a neighbor picks that up, and then hand in hand to your question of, you know, land sales and things like that, there's a number of landowners out there who have inherited land, and as they get older, they either don't have people to inherit the land from them, and then want to sell it from there, or when you may be renting farmland from a landowner that's older, and they're getting the rent check, and then once they pass away, they've got 3 or 4 children who inherit that, and then that rent check gets split up 4 ways amongst them, and then if you go a next generation, then it divides out even more, to where it's not even a significant amount of money for those heirs to be able to make use of it. So then they just decide, well, I'm just going to take the lump sum of money, we'll sell it, take the cash, and kind of move along that way.
You're done.
So I got one more in here, and I don't know if this is a loaded question or not for you, but you had made the point, you know, less smaller farms, more larger operations, but fewer people operating them. Do you think that in agriculture and farming, and I don't know, maybe we can just keep it on a regional level versus like a whole nation, I don't know if it'd be the same answer or not, but do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing to have less smaller farms around the area and fewer larger farms? Or I don't know if you know how I'm trying to put that up. Instead of having a lot of little farms, we have a couple of really big ones. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, that gets to a side of the fence question on that one a little bit, and like you were kind of alluding to, a little bit of a loaded question, as you know, and I'm a prime example of growing up on a family farm, not a lot of acres, and as things progressed along, it wasn't, you know, a viable operation going forward. So, you know, I end up taking a different route into a professional career dealing with ag instead of literally out in the dirt day to day, you know, farming actively and stuff like that. And there's plenty of that, you know, throughout the countryside and throughout the nation for that matter on it too. But I mean, that's really a perspective one on, you know, if there's less number of farms out there and more focused on bigger ones, you know, who has control of what, and does that, you know, that can affect a lot of different things from land prices, values, rents, different things like that. So it's really tough to can't really say which one's necessarily better or not, but it's definitely just the trend of where everything is kind of going, and you just kind of got to adapt with that trend.
I see. Well, we're at bottom of the hour. We got to get caught up with our local news. When we come back, we'll rejoin this conversation with Chad and Judd from Dacotah Bank. And if you have any questions that you want to ask for either of them or us, give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000, or email weatherorag@flagfamily.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or are experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 701-929-7545. Again, that's 701-929-7545. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and it can lead to amputation. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-929-7545. Call us today at Dacotah Clinic of Chiropractic at 701-929-7545 today.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. Fargo Public Schools is seeking community input on a long-range plan for each and every building in the district. The school district just released a survey asking residents to weigh in on current and future facility needs, including new construction, major renovations, and ongoing maintenance. The survey will be open for less than 2 weeks. It closes at midnight on Sunday, December 3rd. You can find a link to the survey by checking out the story on our website. A section of a busy road in West Fargo will be reduced to one lane this week. Beginning today through Friday, the far right eastbound lane on Main Avenue will be closed between 17th Street East and 45th Street. The closure is to allow utility work to be completed. Drivers in this area can expect congestion and delays during the morning and evening rush hours. Sidewalks along this section of Main will also be closed through Friday. And Minnesota Representative Dean Phillips says he won't seek re-election next year as he continues his bid for the Democratic presidential nomination. Phillips was first elected to Congress from Minnesota's 3rd District in 2018. At least 2 other Democrats have already announced their intent to run for the 3rd District seat. Tom Tucker, WDAY and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Bonjour! Let Reed Event Center at Reese and Riley's Olive Oil and Bistro Bar in Moorhead host your next party, reunion, or corporate gathering, featuring an exquisite Mediterranean culinary experience with local ingredients and fresh handmade pasta, including gluten-free options. Casual or formal, Reed Event Center offers a unique and sophisticated experience. For bookings, call Reed Event Center at 218-303-1279 or visit reeseandrileys.com. Bon appetit!
It's about tradition, values, and family ties. Pucklet Chevrolet GMC's tradition of giving back to our community remains a priority, and that's why we've partnered with many local nonprofit organizations and events. And our tradition of giving this community a fair and honest offer continues. This month, save nearly $7,000 on select new 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500s. We're Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, and family ties.
See dealer for details.
Get ready for a heartwarming experience with Legacy Plumbing and Heating. At Legacy, our mission is simple: to provide the best plumbing and heating experience in town, while also being dedicated to serving our community.
You can make a difference today by nominating a family in need for a brand new furnace thanks to Legacy Plumbing and Heating with the Warm Heart, Warm Home Initiative. Visit WDAYRadioNow.com today and nominate someone in need.
Remember, life flows better with Legacy. Join us in spreading warmth and love this season of giving.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
An air duct. Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait.
And that's the start of a good day. Thanks for joining us here. We're so glad you've made some time in your day to hear what's going on Weather and Ag in Focus. And if you have been pondering over the holiday season what you might want to do with your estate going forward, as you looked around the table, saw all those family and friends and kids and thought, yes, I want you to have something, or, oh, Lord, no, we're not going to do this. It is time for you to make that call to ND Estate Services. Call Mark at 701-318-0908 or ndestateservices.com. He can help you make sure you avoid probate, protect from guardianship, save taxes, and have some peace of mind. Because I don't know about you guys, but there's some people in my family that I'd say, yes, you can have that. And others, So when you think about all this stuff that you're doing every day in the farm world, and you are thinking ahead about next year, 2024 already. Justin and I were beginning farmers this year. We custom farmed our 20 acres in our Here We Grow project. So to Chad and to Judd, what would we do next? If we borrowed money from you and we want to farm again next year, what's our starting point right now to get ready financially for 2024? Where do we begin?
Basically now, as the crop season is finished up here, and I guess the farming season cycle in general is finishing up outside, for that matter. The next step now towards the end of the year, both for tax planning purposes as well as just financial purposes, now that you know what you have for bushels and everything, how the crops turned out and what your expenses are, there's a lot of bookkeeping and tabulating of the expenses and what you have for crop out there. And then we kind of do just a year-end snapshot of what's out there, and kind of a what a lot of people like to refer to as a rough and dirty quick little look at where the financials appear to be ending up at the end of the year. Kind of gives you a good look at working capital, if that's changed, plus, minus, or however that looks. And then you had referenced before about operating lines of credit and where those balances are and what it's projected for crop income coming in based off the bushels and where the prices are and things are like that. So you kind of just get a little financial snapshot of what it is. It's it's kind of like kind of got to see what's there, take a peek at the scoreboard, and see where things are for the year and how it's coming out.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions here. I was just writing down as you were talking, Chad. And so one of them is, do I need to know my costs are on a per bushel or a per acre basis? Which is the way that you as a banker would prefer to see how well I know my dollars and cents?
Yes. But yeah, no, somewhat jokingly, but one obviously leads to the other, but and that kind of ties into, and I'm glad you bring it up because I try to mention it as much as possible, but a lot of people, a lot of farmers out there, oh geez, when do I market my grain? What's a good price? How should I do this? What do you think? Or what do you think, whether it's their banker or the elevator guy or their neighbor or whatever. Maybe it's the magic 8-ball on Dean and Justin's desk. I don't know. I mean, however you want to market that.
Tool.
Exactly. Works for marketing too. But no, the point of that is, though, if you keep your financials and have it broken down with expenses, if you keep those up to date and know what your expenses are overall, you can break those down into enterprises and the crop enterprises, and you can get a per acre or per bushel combination. Obviously, one leads to the other. You can get a cost of production out of that, and then what your cost per bushel is compared to your market price per bushel on that. And that that can go from some people like to figure it on just the crop itself, both fixed and variable costs, or you can also include in there, you're obviously going to need enough money for payments on term debt or any type of loans and stuff like that. And then obviously the fun one that always comes into play on some of that, the one of the bigger variables is the family living aspect of that one. What have you lived off for this year, or what do you have available to live off on that? And that's always kind of a tricky one. But yeah, ideally you'd like to see it, probably I don't know if you want to say the easiest, but the best way combination is if you keep track of all the expenses and have it broken down and get it into, a price per bushel, then, that helps towards your marketing too.
Mm-hmm. And Judd, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I would take that a little bit further and say that the per bushel or per acre information is very important, but it's more of a measure of your effectiveness or your efficiency, effectiveness in management or your efficiency in the operation. From a true bank perspective, as you can imagine, we're looking to get our loans paid back. And so it's obviously the per acre, per bushel is important, but we're looking at the overall operation and cash flow and cash available to service whatever debt is out there.
And Judd,
Wait. We got to pay this back?
No.
Go ahead.
Dean,
generally, yes.
Dean has to pay it back, Bridgette. We're fine. We're golden.
We look very favorable upon that.
Yes, exactly.
Since interest rates have been going up and up and up, how has that been affecting ag lending when it comes to Dacotah Bank? And is there anything that you guys are able to do that maybe either separates you or is at least able to get away from what that average interest rate is, maybe something that can get it down a little bit or anything like that for agribusiness?
Well, obviously the interest rates going up is an issue for everybody, and the fact that they've been going up so fast has been a bigger issue for a lot of banks. And so I would say, are there things we can do differently? It depends on each customer's situation. The immediate impact of rates going up is more on their operating accounts, operating business, or operating line of credit. If they had term debt before the interest rates started to skyrocket, they're not feeling the impact of that yet on those term debts. As long as they had 3 to 5 year, terms on those, they're going to end up if the loan doesn't pay off in that 3 to 5 year time frame, they're going to have a balance to refinance. Then they will feel the impact of higher rates because they've probably gone from somewhere in the 3s to somewhere in the 7s and 8s.
Right.
And so that will definitely have an impact.
So what do you have to say for someone who is maybe on that line right now where they're debating whether or not, do I want to do something with these interest rates or do I want to hold off, use what I got, try and see if the rates come back down, wait a couple of years before financing something? What would you have to say for someone who's kind of on that teeter-totter tipping point?
Well, I would, if I knew exactly what to do, you couldn't afford to talk to me.
Be a long way from here. It'd be a lot warmer where we'd be right
now.
That's
right. It really is difficult. You have to every borrower kind of has to look at their own situation and come to their own belief as to what they think is going to happen with interest rates. Generally right now the Fed has been pretty clear that they're not going to lower rates anytime soon. That's their bias is to look at potentially even another increase. The market seems to think everything's going to go flat for a while, and maybe something in 24 we'll see some rate drops. But nobody really knows for sure. Right. They're very data dependent, is what they say. And they seem to be operating that way, at least from my perspective. And so it's really hard, and it's kind of an individual decision based on everybody's operation.
Okay. And kind of tying back a little bit to what Judd was just saying and what Bridgette touched on earlier too, you kind of have, to some degree, three different windows of what you look at. The operating line of credit, interest rates. Your operating line of credit typically is on an annual cycle that usually reprices, resets, renews on an annual basis. So that kind of follows along with rates. But like Judd mentioned before, if you did some term debt, purchase some equipment, typically intermediate term type stuff for, 3 to 5 to 7 year terms, depending on what you're buying there. If you did that 4 years ago, you've got some stuff locked in at 3-4%, and then that helps with your cash flow. You're still making payments based off of that stuff, so you're not seeing the impact of it until that starts rolling off. And then the third window of that into longer term stuff, that's your real estate debt and stuff like that, where you can lock rates in longer. And when you look at historical averages and stuff, 3, 4, and 5 years ago, everybody was seeing some pretty low real estate rates, term rates, and stuff, and those types of deals out there. Everybody was trying to lock in and get on that because a lot of people hadn't seen rates that low for the longest time, so everybody kind of tried to lock in on that. And then the other part of that is, in the past few years with markets being good and some of the governmental programs that have been out there. Actually, there's been a fair amount of cash out in the countryside too, where people have built up some working capital, and they've been able to lock in those rates at some low, or some of that term debt at low rates, and then have cash available to make replacements of equipment and things like that using cash, and not having to buy something at a 6-7% term rate where they've got some stuff at 3%. They make use of the cash now, which you always got to watch on that, because working capital is kind of king too when it comes to cash flow. It allows you to absorb some changes and some increases and things like that. So you want to make use of it and update when you can, but you also don't want to burn through it right away and run into some tight cash flow situations.
So Justin and I we keep looking at getting bigger and better. And so if we wanted to do that as beginning farmers, first of all, we should probably start looking at some grant programs, because we can tie that in with some of the things that we're doing with you. But we've got our eye on a really nice new Case Steiger, and we figure we need a quarter of land, and we have about $40,000 in cash. What can you do? Are we good? Can we just get started farming right now? What do you think, guys? Or do you get questions like that, and where do you start directing everybody?
Yeah, I got that one deferred down to me, but that qualifies you to walk right in the door and sit at my desk and come talk to me. Or,
okay.
The way I like to do it too, I should say, that's kind of everybody reverts back to the old school thing. Or the way I do it, give me a call and get all your financials together and what all your numbers are, and give me a call. And I'm out in the country all the time, bouncing from farmstead to farmstead and seeing what's going on out there. And I'm more than happy to come sit at your desk, your workbench, your table, your pickup, whatever. I've done it all. That's kind of the way my life is. So looking at that, but that's a good start. Anytime we look at doing stuff, anytime you do something, you got to have something to base it off of. So, balance sheet, tax returns, income statements, all that type of stuff. That's just by nature. You got to have that for pretty much anything you do. It's, we're still a regulated business, and, we have people that come in and visit us and look at our files. And, you can't just because I think you're a good person and I think you do a pretty good job, doesn't mean I can just go and do that. You got to have something on paper and something substantial to make decisions off of and work off of. So,
I would add to that, though, that you said it, Bridgette, that you're a beginning farmer. There are programs out there for beginning farmers, from Bank of North Dakota to potentially FHA and other programs that would allow a beginning farmer to do some things that might be a little easier in that situation than in other situations.
Yep, that's all stuff that we can partner up with and make use of those programs, and we handle a lot of the paperwork and a lot of the info and do a lot of the leg work on that for people too.
And I said it sort of tongue in cheek, but yet that's a reality that a lot of our listeners might not realize is you don't just get to walk into the dealership and buy the biggest brandest, newest tractor. And you also don't just go to the auction and buy the land and do what my dad did and then call the banker and say, yeah, I bought this pickup. Can you cover it? You can't just do that anymore, right? We've got to have a plan if we're going to buy farmland, if we're going to buy equipment, that type of thing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That farmland at $9,000 plus an acre, or that X9 John Deere at $1 million plus just for the combine. Not a lot of people are going in and just dropping down a suitcase for either one of those.
No, we'd have a lot of explaining to do, I think. But so, Chad and Judd, thank you so much for spending some time with us today to answer some just basic financing questions. And if folks have more for you and they'd like to reach out, how can they do that?
Well, certainly on the internet, DacotahBank.com would get you to us. And we are in Fargo. We're located on 13th Avenue, just west of Target. So we're a lot of people drive by us every day. It's a very busy corner. Yeah. But that's where we're at. But I would say www.DacotahBank.com would get you to us as well.
Well, thank you again for being one of our Here We Grow sponsors this year and working with us as partners. We look forward to continuing that relationship. Justin and I have some book work to do to try to figure out what we're going to do next year, and there'll be more questions for you guys.
I'll try to keep my calendar open.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. All right, folks, we are going to take a news break, and when we come back, Justin and I will touch on the weather, a couple more headlines, and we'll be right back.
Our 7th annual November fundraiser is underway. Fix It Forward Ministry is raising dollars to drive. Now through November 30th, your contributions will be matched up to $45,000. Help us make a difference in the lives of those in need through free car repairs and free vehicle donations. Double the impact at fixitforwardministry.com and click the yellow donate button. Together, we're driven to serve.
Gateway Clearance Center's huge Black Friday sales event is going on now. Come into Gateway Clearance Center for $500 off the purchase price of your new pre-owned vehicle or an additional $1,000 off with your trade during the Black Friday event. Gateway Clearance Center has over 250 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock with lots of local trades. Get $500 off your new pre-owned vehicle or an additional $1,000 off with your trade. Gateway Clearance Center's huge Black Friday event is going on now, located on South University Drive in Fargo. Details fmclearancecenter.com.
This is the time of year when we all believe. We believe in joy, like a day of fun at Mall of America. We believe in unforgettable elf experiences at Candy Cane Institute. Wish-filled weekends at Radisson Blu Mall of America, conveniently connected to the mall. Paul Bunyan's ugly sweater and the Yule log shoot at Nickelodeon Universe. And wrapping it all up with a bow at the Holiday Light Show every night. Believe all season long. Start at mallofamerica.com/holiday.
This is Mark Wagner at ND Estate Services. I want to thank all the listeners out there and just really wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Thanksgiving. Give your family the gift of avoiding probate at death, eliminating legal guardianship when you're incapacitated, saving taxes, but most of all, protecting their inheritance. Find out more at ndestateservices.com, 701-318-0908.
With Jiffy Lube Multicare, it's our job to make car care make sense. With personalized service reviews that swap the car talk for straight talk, so you know what your car is telling you and what to do about it. Where highly trained service technicians have your back, helping you take care of the small stuff before it becomes big stuff. Plus a full range of services from Pennzoil oil changes to tires, brakes, batteries, and more. We've got what your car needs, so you're ready for whatever's next. Putting you in the driver's seat of car care, that's a job for Jiffy.
Jiffy Lube, 620 Dacotah Avenue, Wapaton.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
So much appreciated the time with Chad and Judd from Dacotah Bank and their discussion about ag finance, because I think the more we know, the better off we are, especially as we are facing higher interest rates and that type of thing. But there was one question. I'm going to have to reach out to them after the fact and ask for their opinion. And that was, how do they want their records sent to them? My dad's idea of taking records to the bank was a brown paper bag full of receipts. Really wasn't the way they wanted to see them. So with any luck, maybe we can find a little bit better record keeping method for those guys. And maybe in that there's a silver lining, like some sunshine. Justin, what's the chance of sunshine yet today?
As I look upon the skies from our South Fargo studio, I can count 1, 2, 3, I guess you could argue 4 little pockets of blue skies. So A few of us will see a couple rays of sunshine, but they will be short-lived. So not much for today, but there will be a few pockets that break in the clouds. But generally, it will be mainly cloudy for the rest of this afternoon. A little bit more on the sunshine towards the end of the day. Northwest winds, a little breezy right now at 15. We'll see those around 10 to 20 for the rest of the day as well. And temperatures at 17 degrees, not really budging a whole lot over the past 3 hours. We've just been sitting steady at 17. We'll top out near 20 today. And then have temperatures crashing down towards 6 above tonight. A few of us will come close to 0, but temperatures will rise towards tomorrow morning. Close to 10 degrees by the time the sun rises at about 7:48 tomorrow morning. And then it's off to the races, Bridgette. Skies go mostly sunny after a cloudy start to the day. A couple of flurries. We'll have sunny skies by the mid-afternoon, and that will allow temperatures with strong, breezy winds out of the west gusting to 25 to rise us up to a high near 42 degrees. So it's going to feel quite warm tomorrow, although just a little on the breezy side, and it'll stay warm with lighter wind on Wednesday, low 40s, before we're back in the mid-30s for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It looks really dry, no big systems coming through outside of a slight chance for a few flurries or a stray burst of snow on Thursday. And then our next little clipper system looks to come through Monday night of next week. And even that doesn't look to be like a big deal. So it's a pretty dry and calm pattern outside of a couple of breezy days.
And when we get to our weather special, which is next Tuesday, December 5th, we're going to examine that pattern, see what that's going to mean for the winter months ahead. Is it good, bad, or indifferent to what we want to see happening?
Well, I know everybody wants it to be, let's just say 30 degrees and sunny for the whole winter. Some of us probably want it to be 80 degrees and sunny for the whole winter, but come on, let's be real.
Right. This is why we live this far north.
Yes.
And reality is we'd like some moisture. We just don't need to have it. I will say last year was rough, and many of us are still having a little PTSD from it. But those winters happen. Won't be the first or the last time.
Yeah, so if you want to know when our next major winter storm is likely to hit our area, well, how many ground blizzards do you think we're going to experience this year? When is the Arctic blast going to punish North Dakota for such a warm fall? Well, we can tell you all those dates and when we expect all those larger scale features to wrap through our area on December 5th from 2 to 5 o'clock for our LRC Winter Outlook with myself, Dean, Bridgette's going to be there, Jay Thomas will be there, Gary Lezak will be there, and of course you can be there as well because you can ask questions live during the show. So mark it on your calendar, 2 to 5 next Tuesday, December 5th.
And we hope you do, because questions they tend to bring us a lot more insight and are very helpful during the show. So we look forward to them.
And you can send those questions early or ahead of time if you'd like to. Just use the weather@flagfamily.com email inbox. Again, that's weather@flagfamily.com. Let's see, Bridgette, we got about two-ish minutes left in the show. Why don't we hit on this USDA apple purchase ag topic?
Well, all right. So Michigan is now the second largest apple producing state in the nation, and they had record bushels of 32 million. That's a lot of pies, guys.
That's a lot of apples.
And so they appealed to the USDA and said, we don't have any more market. We need somewhere for these to go. And the USDA has something called a Section 32, and they can then purchase farm produce when they know there's no other outlet for it. And so that is what happened. USDA purchased $100 million of fresh and processed apples to alleviate the abundance from the harvest. Not only was it really focused in Michigan, but if New York is the other high producing apple state, that means a lot of it was focused on the eastern half of the country. So what happened was 32 million bushels of apples were produced. The agency spent $100 million in fresh and processed apples and then moved it out to food banks, school meal programs, and other programs across the country, which I'm all for. Let's make sure that people can eat good produce, and that's in fact what happened in this situation.
Indeed it is, and that's going to wrap up our show for today. Appreciate you joining in, sending in those questions via email. We're back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And what do we got going on tomorrow, Bridgette?
I'll be coming to you live, coming from the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association meeting in Watertown. See you then.
Mike Lindell is always looking for ways to solve everyday problems. Have you ever picked up a towel